Don't forget to go to asskicking.com for pound the best home health and beauty fragrance products.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So after Lomachenko got a 6-round TKO win over Rigo this past weekend, ESPN's Dan Rafael, he said that Lomachenko would give Floyd Mayweather hell and possibly beat him at 130. He's talking about the Floyd Mayweather that fought at 130, the same Floyd Mayweather that fought Diego Corrales, Janelle Hernandez, etc., etc. He said Lomachenko would possibly beat him. Now, Terrence Crawford, who's often compared to Lomachenko when it comes to pound for pound, who the best fighter in the world is, even he had to respond, and this is how he reacted to ESPN's Dan Rafael. Quote, Floyd Mayweather was a monster at 130 pounds, y'all. Better cut the stupid talk and put some respect on that man's name. End quote. So that's what Terrence Crawford had to say about the situation. You know, a lot of you fans don't realize it, but you guys are doing Lomachenko a disservice by bringing up Floyd Mayweather's name, comparing him to Floyd Mayweather. Why don't you guys just let Lomachenko enjoy the win that he got over Rigo instead of making the conversation all about Lomachenko versus Floyd Mayweather? I mean, it's just extremely premature to be comparing him to Floyd Mayweather. I mean, why do fantasy matches with a fighter who's still in his prime and who's still fighting today? If we're going to compare him to anyone, why don't we compare him to fighters that are fighting right now? Why don't we compare him to fighters who he can possibly face in the future? Because if you're comparing him to Floyd Mayweather, why not compare him to Terrence Crawford? I mean, how does he do in a fight against a Terrence Crawford at 140 or at a catchweight? Because you guys have to realize, if Lomachenko were to fight a Terrence Crawford, it would pretty much be equivalent to what Rigo attempted to do this past weekend. Move up 2 weight classes against a fighter who's taller and naturally bigger. You know, Lomachenko himself, he's even praised Terrence Crawford's skills. And he said that that would possibly be his toughest challenge when Terrence Crawford was at 140. So clearly, he even knows the challenges that would be ahead of him if he were to get in there with someone like a Terrence Crawford. So, I mean, before we talk about Floyd Mayweather, let's compare him once again to the fighters that are right here fighting today. Let's compare him to Robert Easter, to Mikey Garcia, to Flanagan, Linares, fighters at 135. That's a good start, right? I would say that would be a good start. Lomachenko already said that he would go up to 135 and fight. So it's not that much of a stretch for him to move up at least to 135. But for him to attempt what Rigo just did, he would have to jump straight up from 130 to 140, right? You know, I don't even have a problem with someone just saying that Loma would give Floyd Mayweather a hell of a fight. My main problem is the inconsistencies when it comes to Dan Rafael saying something like this. My question is, why now do you all of a sudden compare a fighter to Floyd Mayweather and then talk about how he could possibly beat him when you know the fight will never come to fruition? That's a rhetorical question. I want you guys to picture this. I mean, since we play in fantasy world and fantasy fights, picture this. Let's imagine Manny Pacquiao was undefeated and he actually beat Floyd Mayweather, right? He beat Floyd Mayweather. It was Floyd Mayweather who used the excuse, yeah, you know, my shoulder went out, salt water healed it, now it's better, etc., right? So Manny Pacquiao, he beats Floyd Mayweather. Now, once again, we play in fantasy world. He's undefeated. He's never been knocked out. He's undefeated. Then after he beats Floyd Mayweather, he moves up to 154, and then he dominates Canelo Alvarez, right? A guy who's 13 years younger than him, much bigger, much stronger than Pacquiao. Pacquiao goes in there, dominates him. And when you look at his resume, he's beat about 5 or 6 fighters that were currently on the pound for pound top 10 list when he beat them, right? Now, because of his accomplishments, Manny Pacquiao is considered the greatest fighter in the last 25 years. Some people are saying that he may be the greatest of all time. Remember, he beat Floyd Mayweather, then moved up to a higher weight class, beat Canelo. Now, we already see how Lomachenko is being praised for beating Guillermo Rigo. Just imagine how Manny Pacquiao would have been praised if he would have beat Floyd Mayweather with no controversy. So once again, Manny Pacquiao, he beats Floyd, he beats Canelo Alvarez, he retires. Now, since Manny Pacquiao is Filipino, let's just focus on the Filipino media. So let's say, for example, Lomachenko, daring to be great, he jumps up 2 weight classes. But let's just say, for example, it's the welterweight division. Let's say he jumps up 2 weight classes to fight against Errol Spence, for example. Errol Spence, he stops Lomachenko. Now imagine the Filipino media saying right after Errol Spence stops Lomachenko, this guy right here would give Manny Pacquiao hell and he would possibly beat Manny Pacquiao. After all of Manny Pacquiao's accomplishments, beating Floyd Mayweather, beating Canelo Alvarez, do you think the Filipino media would come out and try to diminish what Manny Pacquiao did and said this Errol Spence, this new guy right here, who just knocked out Lomachenko, who moved up to fight him, this guy right here would beat Manny Pacquiao, give him hell, or possibly beat him? You think they would say that? Rhetorical question, right? And we can use that example for a fighter in Mexico with the Mexican media, etc., 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 right? So my point is, this is exactly what an American journalist representing ESPN, this is what he basically put out there. But once again, it's the timing of Dan Rafael saying this. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I'm on to the next one.